Now let's tidy up some of the settings to make the access more straightforward for our user. I'm going to go into Settings and I'm going to go into General, which is highlighted already. And I'm going to scroll down till I find Restrictions. Normally restrictions are off, but if we want to have some restrictions, we go through and press Enable Restrictions. It's looking for a passcode. Now, you need a code so that the child can't get in there and change things, but you also need a code that you're going to remember easily. And if you've got lots of different people using the iPad, it needs to be one that lots of people are going to remember easily. So some people just go for a straightforward 0000. If that's not too simple, you have to confirm it again. And that should be easy to remember. So what do we want to restrict? We don't want to be able to get onto the internet, let's say. Camera, we do want. We might want to take lots of personalised pictures. Probably not going to use FaceTime. We definitely don't want to go on to iTunes and buy a lot of things. I'm not interested in the bookstore just now. We definitely don't want to accidentally buy and install additional apps. We definitely don't want to delete any apps. At the moment, we don't need Siri, the voice dictation tool. We're not going to be allowing any of these downloads, but we could make sure that any downloads, we didn't want explicit music and podcasts, for example. We don't want any movies at all, or we only want movies for children, movies, and there are those settings. The main thing is we don't want to be able to buy anything. So we don't want to buy purchases that come up in-app. And this means it's going to take 15 minutes, and every 15 minutes the passcode thing will come up. That's the main stuff just now in restrictions. So if we go back to the home screen, you'll see that the App Store that was on there has disappeared. And you'll see that Safari that allowed us onto the internet has disappeared. So they're not just restricted, they've actually gone. Now, you may panic when you want to go onto the internet and discover that you can't. So you'd have to go back and turn it on again in there. So it's a question of how tight you want your restrictions to be. And that's something that only you can decide, really. But for the moment, we've tidied it up as best we can. Now, there are more settings that we can do. We can go down even further in general till we get to the accessibility one right near the bottom. And there, if we look at the one that's called guided access, this is off normally, but we can turn it on. So I'm going to touch to turn it on. And it wants a passcode as well. Now, again, you have to balance up the thing about making it difficult for the child to accidentally guess it and making it too difficult for any of the staff to remember it, or parents. So we'll just be a bit wimpy just now and go with 0000 again, because we know we can remember that one. So that's me. I've set my passcode, and now I'm ready to go and look at Proloquo2Go. Coming out of settings and going into Proloquo2Go. So I'm going to do the triple click quite quickly, and guided access comes up top of the little window there. I'm going to choose guided access. It's telling me that the hardware buttons, and that's really the on-off and the home button, are always off. So if the child presses them because he's had enough, it's not going to work. He's going to stay in Proloquo2Go. We do want touch on. We want the motion restriction on because we don't want it to keep whirring round between portrait and landscape. We want it to stay in the same place. And then we're asked to circle the areas on the screen that we would like to disable. So we don't want the child to be able to send messages to Facebook and Twitter, so just draw a little line round that one. We do want to get into the home button, that's important, but we don't want to get into editing and we don't want to get into settings. So I'm going to draw a big box round both of those, and I'm going to pull out the corners very slightly just by picking up that white thing to make sure that it's covered every millimetre of the space. We don't want any vulnerable corners left that would activate, and I'm going to draw around this set as well because we don't want to access the keyboard and we don't want to access different views. That's just distracting. So hopefully we've covered all of the live areas now and we're ready to start in guided access. It tells me guided access is started. So now I can go to the home page, I can make messages.
Apple juice.
But what I can't do is get into settings. However hard I touch that icon, nothing will happen. I can't get into editing. It's been greyed out. It isn't completely invisible, but it's greyed out and it's not active and I can't send anything. If I press the home button, it will say guided access is enabled, triple click to exit. Even if I do triple click, I can't get out unless I know that passcode. All right. And just to finish off, when you want to get out of guided access, triple click the home button, put in the passcode not in front of the child but privately so that they don't see it, and then press end in the top left hand corner. Guided access is ended and the home button will behave as normal after that and everything else is back to normal.